Greg Ward re-signs with the Birds yesterday. You know, I'm a fan, even though.
So are the Eagles, by the way.
And a good Tuesday undefeated morning, Birds fans. You got your Mac and Mac guys back here early and Adam on a Tuesday. Yes, the Eagles will. Well, no, maybe not. John, you told us yesterday you don't think the whole team will get together till tomorrow, right? Chomping at the bit.
Yeah,
I
I
know
mean, no
Eagle fans
practice,
are Eagle players chomping at the bit to get back at it.
I doubt it. Nobody likes to practice, but maybe.
Come on, you heard me say undefeated, right? If they were listening, they'd hear me say undefeated. Isn't that motivation enough to say, let's get this thing going again?
Hey, man, you're undefeated with the method they're using. So Wednesday is practice. That's when you get back to practice.
Yeah,
No need for extra work.
They're famous for walk to Wednesdays. You sure it's going to be a practice and not a
I
walk?
think it's going to be a practice because they had so much time off. So I think it's going to be a traditional practice. But you never know with this team. You never know. I would be shocked if it was a walkthrough Wednesday. I think we're going to see a real practice, as real as they can be in the modern era.
I'm kind of shocked that they're not practicing today, but that's just me. I'm probably too old school in that way. But the Eagles will get back to work at some point this week. Johnny Mac thinks full-blown practice tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there at practice will be a former Eagle who's been out of the way for the last month and a half, but he's returning to the Eagles, at least on the practice squad. Greg Ward re-signs with the Birds yesterday. You know, I'm a fan. Even though
so are the Eagles, by the way.
They surely are. They waited the 6 weeks they had to, as per NFL regulations. He was released with a injury designation, which means the Eagles could not re-sign him at the earliest for 6 weeks. Well, the 6 weeks have come and gone, which means Greg Ward is eligible to be back on the Eagles, and he is just that on the practice squad. And even though I'm a fanboy, he's got no chance to play for this team this year, does he?
Oh, sure, he's got a chance. Remember, you have 3 practice squad elevations for each player on the practice squad. So, if they come into a week, the Eagles coaching staff has proven that they will look at the opponent that week, and if they feel they need a different punt returner, say, or a different look in the slots, then, Quez Watkins isn't, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, isn't a natural slot receiver. If they want one of those guys for a particular week, they might elevate him and let him play.
Okay.
Why not? But, great guy, great in the locker room, was the leader of that room. I think a lot of people forget back in the summer. He's been around for a while now. So, it can't hurt. I mean, they do have 4 wide receivers on the practice squad, which I don't get.
That's why I said there's no way he's going to play, because they've got 3 guys ahead of him on the practice squad.
But he walks into that building, he's probably ahead of he's certainly ahead of Devin Allen. I mean, there's no question about that. And Auden Tate, he's certainly ahead of him. Deion Kane, you could argue, might be a little bit ahead because he had somewhat of a strong summer. But I think he walks into the door as sort of at the top end to all the practice squad receivers. But I think they're going to make another move that you don't need 4. It'll probably be Auden Tate more than anybody else. They worked out John Reed, the old Penn State corner. Everybody's excited about that because he's from Mount Laurel and St. Joe's Prep. Maybe they're looking at another corner to put on the practice squad. I'm talking about. You got to make sure people get really excited about this stuff. But they're probably not going to keep 4 wide receivers on the practice squad for long.
And when you told me yesterday Greg Ward was back, I had not seen yet. So I asked you, well, who'd they take off the practice squad? I didn't even realize they had an opening on the practice squad. So signing Greg Ward was no problem whatsoever. All they had to do was bring him back. But now they're full up on the practice squad. And if they're going to sign someone else for another position to get better balance on their practice squad, I would agree with you. It's probably going to be a wide receiver that's going to go. And again, for those who haven't been watching Bird 365 from day one, and we're up to show number 390 today. Yeah, I've been a Greg Ward fan the entire time. Does the fact that, do you think he had a handshake deal with the Eagles that in 6 weeks, I'm definitely coming back to you guys? Because he could have signed with anybody else.
Yeah.
The Eagles gave him an injury designation. Doesn't mean that he couldn't have signed immediately with another team, and he has been just waiting in limbo for the last 6 weeks. Doesn't that tell you something?
Well, I could tell you two things. Good. Yeah, he had a handshake deal. It was all, wink, wink. We'll bring you back when we can. He wasn't ready to contribute. He had that toe injury. So, he was making a push for a roster spot. I think people kind of forget. It wasn't like he was going to be cut, but then he missed most of camp with that toe injury. And I was told it was a 4-week injury at the time, and he wasn't going to be ready for the start. So, they went this route. If you play somebody on injured reserve, which they did, and you don't work out an injury settlement, they're done for the season before you can't. In other words, if you play somebody on IR before game 1, they're done for the season. Unless
can you designate him for return? They didn't think.
No, you can't do that. You can do that now. You can do that after week 1. You can designate anybody to return. But if you get placed on IR in the preseason before week 1, you're done. You're done for the year.
Before cutdowns. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Unless you work out an injury settlement, you wait the time, and then you can bring him back at a certain point, which is tied to how long the injury settlement is, plus I believe 3 weeks on top of it. So that entire time, he can sign with anybody else. The team that is trying to skirt the system, so to speak, is the one that's penalized a little bit. So it tells you one of two things: Greg really likes the Eagles, and vice versa, which is true, or not a lot of interest either. In other places, which could be true as well. We've talked about Greg a lot. Great. Work ethic, great guy in the building, somewhat limited, strictly a slot receiver, doesn't have a ton of speed, all those things, but he's secure as a punt. A lot of ways as a punt returner, he's exactly like Britton Covey. I mean, he's very stable, he's very secure, but he doesn't have a lot of explosiveness, and that's the problem with Britton Covey as well. And as a receiver, as I said, strictly a slot guy. You're not going to play him outside, but he's great to have around the building, especially with the younger receivers.
Here's the question I would have. Yeah, because if he wants to come back to the Eagles, I'm sure there's a comfort level, and he likes the town, and he likes the coach staff, and he likes his teammates. Again, the A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going nowhere fast. Quez Watkins is what Quez Watkins is. And the guy who's kind of become the forgotten guy in the Eagle wide receiver room is Zach Pascal. When he signed during the offseason, we knew he was one of the
coaching staff. They love him. But he's a blocker.
I was going to say, Johnny, just do me a quick favor. How many snaps has he played? They can love him all they want, but they love Greg Ward too. And then you look at who's actually getting out there onto the field, and I go, how much can you love a guy when you're only playing him? I guarantee is Pascal's less than 10% of the offensive snaps. I don't know what it is. Just judging by my eye, he doesn't play 10% of the snaps. It's nice that they love you. They don't put you out there. The love is only so much.
I'm going to say he's way over 10%.
Really?
Yeah. I'm looking it up real quick. He's a blocker. I mean, the world needs role players. I got into this yesterday with the trade deadline. The world needs, and I'm joking, obviously, because everybody can't be a star. Somebody's got to do the dirty work. Zach Pascal's a dirty work guy. He's not, A.J. Brown could do it physically, but he doesn't want to do that. I mean, he's a star. You got to be realistic about these things. And, when they run all those bubble screens, which I hate, but when they do run them and they do work, it's usually because Zach Pascal's getting a block, to be honest. So he is very good in that aspect of the game. 120 snaps.
Out of how many?
Jalen's played 444. He's never left the field, so
Really? Okay,
444.
so he is out there for like a third of the snaps.
Yeah, about 25%. Yeah, a little bit
25.
more than 25. And let's see, Quez would be, because that's the toggle back and forth. And Quez plays more, but he's Quez is up at 251. So they play a lot of 11 personnel. But when they want the blocker on the field, that's when Zach
Who's
Pascal.
got more snaps? Zach Pascal or Jack Stoll?
Uh
You mentioned they prefer to be an 11 than 12, but they played plenty of 12 this year.
yeah, they play plenty of 12. And Jack's played more recently too. They've been going more in that direction. Jack's got more. Jack's at 178.
And
Um,
and how
and
many?
Zach's
How
at
many?
120.
120. Okay. So yeah, he's played slightly more than him, and that's on me because you don't notice him because he's just doing the dirty work that you got to get done, which is blocking on specific plays. And Greg Ward is not going to be coming in and getting those snaps from him because that's not what Greg Ward
Here's
does.
it. Can I throw an interesting comp at you now that I'm
Yeah,
looking at this, Jody? Zach Pascal's, I said 120. Kenny Gainwell, 119. Yeah, he's been a disappointment. Kenny
that's.
Gainwell.
But yet the Eagles are still one of the top running teams in the National Football
Oh
League.
yeah.
That's because Miles having as good a year as he is, and Jalen gives you what he gives you, and you don't worry about the fact that some people had Kenny Gainwell breaking out this year, becoming the lead back of the Philadelphia Eagles,
Boy,
being
that
a
was silly. That was silly.
it probably was. It wasn't me, but there were some people who thought that Kenny Gainwell was going to have a breakout year. I'll give you a guy who might be kicking off a breakout year. You watched Monday Night Football last night?
Little bits, little bits. Oof. I mean, this is Pete Rozelle's dream, man. I mean, this league is parity. Just you don't know the difference between these two stinking teams. And I criticize Chicago a lot, and I know you're a Justin Fields fan.
Yes.
I'll say this about Justin Fields: if he can weather this storm, and by this storm I mean he's in an organization that didn't help him, not only from a personnel standpoint, from a scheme standpoint. So when I say weather the storm, I mean sort of mentally get over this hurdle of lack of success and getting banged up and having no help, because that can affect quarterbacks. That can affect quarterbacks in a really negative way. Um, he's got a lot of talent, man. He has got a lot of
He's
talent.
shown no signs of that. He has kept his mental game on the straight and narrow last year into this year, despite some of the shortcomings that you alluded to. Yeah, he's got talent, and I previously watched him play a couple of games, and I was getting significantly concerned because I thought he was trying to guide the football, that he was thinking too much, and it is a system that doesn't fit his skills, and he just wasn't letting it rip off the shoulder. Oh, he let it rip a couple times last night. He's got a top 10 arm, and when it comes to arm strength, believe me that Justin Fields has that, and he reminded me a lot last night of Jalen Hurts. If it's there, throw it, gun it, let it go. If not, be ready to take off upfield. They had designated running plays for him last night. I think he took off about 10 times. I think he ran it
Yeah, he
16.
ran it a lot, and he's. I'm going to get my first getting in trouble of the moment. He's got more physical gifts than Jalen does. Now
He's got
Jalen's a better
he's
quarterback.
got more arm strength than they.
He's more athletic too. I mean, he's
I think he's a little
incredibly athletic.
faster. I
He's
think he's faster
incredibly
than Jalen.
athletic. I'm just talking physical traits. That doesn't make you a great player. Like I just talked about, Devin Allen. Devin Allen's an Olympic freaking hurdler. Doesn't mean he can play football. So before everybody gets up in arms, Jalen Hurts is a much better quarterback at this stage than Justin Fields. But Justin Fields has better physical gifts.
I
than
can't believe
Jalen.
I'm going to make an argument for Hurts over Fields. Does the ability to move the pile from the 1 yard line count as athleticism? Because surely I'll give Jalen Hurts the nod over Justin Fields in that comparison.
Well, Jalen's tremendous. Look, I said Jalen's a better quarterback, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. You know, can he deadlift 620 pounds? Justin Fields? My guess is no. I don't think there's ever been a quarterback that can deadlift 620 pounds.
Right.
So Jalen Hurts was a power lifter in high school and really into college, but he's very powerful. So he's stronger. I mean, he's
So, yeah,
stronger
here's what
than
it comes
anybody.
down to, John. I guess you and I are looking at this differently. Strength that Hurts has, does that not connotate to athleticism for you? Is that separate? Is that
Yeah, I would say it's separate. I mean, nobody looks at, oh, that quarterback's really strong in the weight room. I mean, you look at Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, for instance, playing late into their careers. They don't even lift weights anymore. I mean, they do all this yoga stuff and all this, and flexibility, upper body flexibility. No, in other words, no, but when people are scouting quarterbacks, nobody's going, oh, this guy's, Matt Amendola at kicker. This guy, when you have it and when you see it in practice, I guarantee you the Eagles weren't saying, hey, we love Jalen Hurts because he can deadlift 620 pounds. They liked him as a quarterback, as a player, as things he could do. So with that particular position, no, offensive line, yeah, you got to be powerful. Being powerful helps when you're an offensive lineman, and even that doesn't guarantee anything. But the more you can just overwhelm people. But I would say, if you ask most scouts, that strength is very low on the list for quarterbacks.
Right. And
Yeah.
you're describing it as an overall evaluative part of a whole look at a quarterback. I'm just talking about the use of the word athleticism. You said you
No, I
think
wouldn't put
Justin
it in
Fields
there.
is
I
more
don't know.
athletic
Yeah.
than Jalen Hurts. And I'd say one of the things that kind of tips it towards Jalen Hurts is his ability to get behind an offensive line and move 4 guys that weigh over 350 pounds. That to me is athleticism. When you can just put your head down and drive the pile forward for a touchdown from the 1.5-yard mark, that counts for me as athleticism.
Yeah, well, that's your definition. I would, I would point, what are the things they do at the combine? 40-yard dash, 10-yard split, 20-yard split, broad jump. Quarterbacks aren't
weightlifting. Do they not do weightlifting at the combine?
Nobody looks at 225 for quarterbacks. Nobody.
Did they do it?
That's a good question. I don't even know. I'll look up Fields. He ran a 4.46, 159, 10-yard, 2.6, 20-yard, 9.11 broad jump. No number on 225. So my guess is no. And those are his pro days.
I'll tell you,
most top tier quarterbacks don't even work out at the combine.
Right.
Those numbers were from his pro day, but no, he didn't lift 225.
Okay.
Although, he's also 6'3", 230. He's probably pretty strong as well. I don't know that for a fact, but my guess is.
I think he's probably one of the stronger quarterbacks. He's just not Jalen Hurts, who might be the strongest quarterback. And just
he definitely is. Jalen definitely is. Nobody's stronger than Jalen Hurts playing quarterback. I feel very comfortable saying that. Very comfortable.
As do I. I would just personally, I'd rather know what kind of weight a quarterback could put up over what his leaping abilities are. I would want to know, can I use this guy for sneak purposes?
Well, I would tell you that when it comes to Jalen Hurts, for instance, the deadlift is far more stinking important than the 225. Because if you're talking about, nobody cares about upper body, that's lower body. So, I mean, when you're trying to move the pile, and by the way, give Jason Kelsey credit. And the Eagles, I don't know if you saw that video. Kelsey was mic'd up against the Cowboys, and he goes up to snap the ball on one of the sneaks, and he says, "You know what's coming," and they just sneak it. And he told him, he Larry Bird them. He said, "You know what's coming," and they converted. So give a lot of credit to Jason Kelsey, the offensive line as well. And by the way, I was just ripping Kenny Gainwell. The Eagles have also, and give the credit for the coaching staff with this stupid rule that they have to change where you can push the player over. Kenny Gainwell's done a tremendous job with that. As soon as the Eagles do the quarterback sneak, Kenny Gainwell's there, pushing, the old Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush rule that they changed. So everybody's involved with that, but Jalen is tremendous at it. Tremendous.
He's got unbelievable drive in his legs, which is how many shows we've done in the past years. Well, who's going to be the Eagles' short yardage back? When are they bringing Jordan Howard back? The Eagles need a short yardage. No, they have a short yardage back. His name is Jalen Hurts. They don't need another short yardage back. All right, he's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. I can see in our green room that the big man, Easy Ed Kurtz, is getting ready to join us. He's up next here on Birds 365.